This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices climbed on Monday after a drone attack on U.S. forces in Jordan added to worries over supply disruption in the Middle East as Houthi rebels stepped up their attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, hitting a Trafigura-operated fuel tanker. Risks of a widening conflict comes as Russian refined product exports are set to fall, with several refineries under repair following drone attacks. Brent crude futures rose 29 cents, or 0.4%, to $83.84 a barrel by 0230 GMT after hitting a session high of $84.80. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude gained 34 cents, or 0.4%, to $78.35 a barrel after reaching an intraday high of $79.29 earlier in the session.
Asian refiners are pinning their 2024 jet fuel demand hopes on continued air travel recovery from China and Southeast Asia, with supply movements to be driven by output from a spate of new Middle East capacity, traders and analysts said. While Chinese domestic flight numbers surpassed 2019 levels in the third quarter of 2023, international traffic has been slower to rebound but is gaining momentum. A shaky post-pandemic recovery in Southeast Asia, which has yet to see traffic back at 2019 levels partly due to weak flows from China, will also dictate demand levels.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Yemen's Houthi rebels on Friday stepped up attacks on vessels transients the Red Sea, including a hit that sparked a fire on a fuel tanker operated on behalf of trading firm Trafigura. Trafigura said a missile struck the fuel tanker Marlon Luanda as it transited the Red Sea. The tanker was carrying Russian naphtha purchased below the price cap in line with G7 sanctions, a Trafigura spokesperson said. Firefighting equipment on board was being deployed to suppress and control a fire in one cargo tank on the starboard side, the company said in an emailed statement.
U.S. crude oil inventories have begun to deplete, especially around the NYMEX futures delivery point at Cushing in Oklahoma and across the Midwest, creating conditions for a squeeze on nearby futures prices. Front-month futures prices and calendar spreads have already risen consistently since the middle of December as traders react to signs the market is tightening again. U.S. commercial crude inventories have depleted in 4 of the most recent 5 weeks by a total of 23 million barrels since December 15. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Gold prices rose on Monday as escalating tensions in the Middle East lifted bullion's safe haven appeal, while moves were limited as traders awaited the U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's remarks this week for cues on interest rate trajectory. Spot gold was up 0.4% at $2,025.99 per ounce by 0403 GMT. U.S. gold futures also rose 0.4% to $2,025.20. There is enough instability still in the Middle East to keep investors interested in gold as part of a safe haven play, said Tim Waterer, chief market analyst at KCM Trade.
Copper prices opened this week lower on Monday, with pressure from a steady dollar ahead of U.S. economic data, while subdued demand outlook from top consumer China also weighed on sentiment. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange slid 0.2% to $8,528.50 per metric ton by 0217 GMT, having gained 2.4% last week, its biggest weekly rise since November. The most traded March copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange little moved at 68,000 yuan, $9,468.77 per ton.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Malaysian palm oil futures dropped on Monday amid weakness in rival edible oils and profit-taking, although higher crude prices limited losses. The benchmark palm oil contract for April delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange fell 52 ringgit, or 1.29%, to 3,965 ringgit, $838.44, a metric ton at midday. The contract logged a nearly 2% weekly gain last week, the third straight week-on-week increase. Dalian's most active soy oil contract fell 1.82%, while its palm oil contract slipped 0.82%. Soy oil prices on the Chicago Board of Trade dropped 0.26%. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.